What I find interesting about this Nissan Frontier is two things. First off, Nissan...
Just two?
Well, there's quite a few,
That's
but
it?
I'm going to start on
Two?
these two. First off, Nissan was a trailblazer in the compact truck segment. They were one of the first to do it.
Long time. Yep.
Now, this Frontier is the same one, minus one big change, that has been around since 2005.
Yeah.
This actually, think about it this way. In the world of Nissan, this is older than the 370Z.
Oh, don't do that.
I did that.
Oh my God.
That is the truth of it, which is shocking, honestly.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels dedicated to great cars, driving adventures, and helping you find a car you'll love.
subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing.
Well, you guys may be wondering why we're driving the 2020 Nissan Frontier, because it is the end of the line.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, there's something about this truck that Nissan calls the heart of the next Frontier. But as Todd said, it's been around since 2002 when it was designed, introduced in 04, as in 05, and as of this recording, it's 15 years old. In dog years, this is 105 years old, and it feels like it.
Yeah.
So, we've got the Frontier, which is, in North America, the second generation. There's actually a third generation that isn't sold here. So there's one
that makes it extra confusing.
This that isn't sold here that we never got. So they just kind of kept selling the second generation.
Somebody just said ain't broke, don't fix?
Which has been Nissan's mantra.
All right, yeah, true.
Speaking of ain't broke, don't fix, it's the engine that got changed. Up until 2020, it used to have as the top engine a 261 horsepower V6, which was fine to average.
A 5-speed automatic. A 5-speed auto.
It's like an antique.
It is like, you remember those days, kids, with the 5-speed automatics? Yeah,
So what Nissan did, and interestingly so, is introduce their new engine, which is also a V6, a lot more power, 310 horsepower, 281 foot-pounds of torque. But they put it in the old truck. So this is the new engine for forthcoming 4 years from now, and if that truck soldiers on, it'll be 2036 by the time we get the new truck.
This engine may be around in 2040. You're right, based on the current
I'm just
cycles.
based on Nissan math. This is Nissan math.
I totally get it. But here's a question I have, though. I feel like it's one of those school disappointment programs. And here's what I mean. Hang on. Because I feel like the entire class was supposed to move on in 2020, and only the engine department completed their assignments. Everybody else just wasn't ready, and they're held back a year, and they've got this engine. And so on the press materials, it says, like you said, like the first sentence was, the same Frontier with a brand new heart, or the heart of the next Frontier.
That's what they're claiming, which seems odd.
Yeah, for sure.
But in a way, it's actually a good thing, because the first year of any new model is the one people tend to avoid.
Sure.
That's the one like, nothing's sorted out yet. Everything's still kind of being figured out. And Nissan decided with the engine, introduce it in the old truck as just almost a proof of concept. So the last version of the old truck is the beta concept for the new one.
I guess.
Which is so strange.
I guess. They've also done gradual changes to the tech. I mean, we're limping toward Apple CarPlay.
Limping is a compliment.
Well, that's the thing. This feels ancient. And honestly, you have that thing where Nissan was the front runner, the trailblazer. They invented this market, and now they're the Walking Dead. It's just, I can't believe how much this is behind. And I do actually think it's interesting that the engine was already ready, and they're like waiting for the rest of the truck to show up.
Well, so what they did with this engine was produce more power. They wanted to get better fuel economy. But as you said, it used to be 5-speed. You want to get better fuel economy? Just stretch out the gears. Just make more. 4 more speeds. That's insane.
It's now a 9-speed transmission and a new V6.
Okay, so this is the transmission that is very similar to the one out of the Titan. Okay, so that's where they got it, which is fine. And I looked in the engine bay up front. It actually looks like it could hold a V8. But this is still a compact truck, and Nissan is standing on that in the midst and the era of when every compact truck that used to be kind of small and cute and just a little bit useful has now grown into what we knew as the full-size trucks from the 80s and 90s.
Everything's getting bigger.
They're huge now, and they have stayed compact. You can feel it in the dimensions, you can feel it in the interior, especially the back seat.
Yeah.
But this is what they've stuck on. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, to be honest, because they want, to keep the differentiation between their full size and going all the way up. One of these vehicles that I hate on pavement. I can't stand it.
Yes.
It's useless.
Yes.
If you have one of these and you're watching because you probably own one, you think, this has been the best truck ever. I don't think it's the best truck ever until you get it off-road. But the slightest hint of any dirt, it comes to life. Oh, well now I get it. With its old leaf spring tech and old suspension, despite the Bilsteins back there.
Yes, you're right. Anytime we drove it on pavement, we kind of can't believe how shaky and frankly cheap feeling the ride is. It feels cheap and aggressive. But then you get on the back road, and what's interesting is that flips and now becomes something where it feels like you can't break it, and like this is what it's designed for, because it's the Pro-4X. So this is as far as Nissan goes into off-road setup, which means on-road.
Heavy duty.
On-road is not good.
It's really not. And if you were to tell me that the entire interior is made of recycled plastics and it's eco-friendly, okay, I'd buy it. But these plastics and their texture feel more than 10 years old. The switchgear is like welcome to the 90s.
Yes, they do.
It's way back. The digital gauges, you're thinking, how old is this thing?
Yeah, that feels even older than 05.
You're
does.
Right.
It really does.
I'm looking around going, there's better tech than this. But Nissan didn't change a thing. I mean, talking about extracting the most out of their tooling, it's not just a business sense at that point. It's beyond bad business because you want new customers to come in. I get it. You want to have a certain run of your truck, of your vehicle, to get the maximum dollars out of the production line, the tooling, all that stuff. But then at some point, buyers start to drop off. And the lack of sales does not make your tooling investment worth it for 15 years of a run. Somehow Nissan has stuck on that, but it's interesting, again, they've put the engine from the new truck, which we will see in the next year's truck, and then it will be the old engine in the new truck.
Yeah. I just think they were ahead in class. I think they were the ones that hit the deadline, and everybody else went, I'm not going to make
They're
it,
like,
man.
we're going to lunch.
Yeah, let's see. The engine folks are just like sitting back on their bonus right now. Everybody else is like, we got to get it done, we got to get it done.
Hurry up with the next truck. Like, okay, we'll put the leaf springs back in and the frame and
it'll
everything.
be fine. All right, on the interior, I think I can actually scare you one further.
Oh, no.
I got in this, and I noticed this wheel, which has been a wheel for Nissan forever.
Forever.
But then I looked at the turn stalks, and I tried to think about the first time I saw these, and it dawned on me where they came from. The first time I saw these turn signals was the 350Z.
No. You're right.
They were on the 350Z. The 370Z is already too old, at more than 10 years old. These turn signals and all of this, I mean, I get it. You've made the most out of your investment. I get it. But honestly, they were introduced in the 350Z.
You're absolutely right. Well, Nissan says that they invented the compact truck segment in 1959 by bringing the Datsun 220 over and saying, all right, here's the compact pickup truck. They're known for trucks. But then being the leader, you have to keep doing things. You have to keep pushing.
You've at least got to keep refreshing. Even if you don't push, look at something like the Land Cruiser. I can't necessarily say that that's pushing tech forward, but they are releasing new ones consistently, and they're keeping the name alive.
They are.
Nissan has just let so many things in their lineup languish, and I'm sorry, but this is one of them.
We're at the very end of the run of this.
Yes.
And I'm frankly glad that we haven't driven any others, because you look at these used for sale, you can't tell them apart. An 05 looks like a 2020. There aren't even any trim upgrades. They've, stretched the model line a little bit, and then they've brought it back, and they've introduced the Pro-4X like this is. Okay, but, for $38,000, as this is brand new, there's not really a compelling case unless you want the good engine now. You get 49 more horsepower.
Great point.
And it is powerful, admittedly.
Yes, it is.
They
Yes, it
focused on their market, and they said, all right, the truck buyers that need more power, instead of doing something turbo-y and kind of interesting, they just went with more. It's actually less displacement, but they increase the horsepower. Where was this engine 10 years ago?
Yes.
5 years ago?
Yes.
But here we are.
Mm-hmm. And that 38 grand, this remains the cheapest car in the truck in the segment. This is where the bargain is, okay? That Tacoma we had recently.
There's a bargain, but then there's just cheap.
That Tacoma we had recently was nearly 10 grand more expensive than this.
Right.
So, and this starts just over 20 grand at the base version of this truck. That's affordable for a mid-size pickup, but you are buying a dinosaur. And I have to say, honestly, I thought about this interior next to the current Wrangler. The Wrangler has always been known, but the Wrangler is known to come with drain holes. It's known to be something you can supposedly hose out.
Yeah.
I would hose this out so much sooner than I would ever hose out the new Wrangler. The new Wrangler, you get in by comparison, you think, this is actually really nice. And it's still got the drain holes in the floor. This is not supposed to be that hose out rugged, and yet the plastics and the materials here, that's what I want to do. I want to get this thing filthy and not even thinking about it.
You know, when you do, you think, okay, I don't have to touch my truck. I can just bomb around and abuse it, and it does feel like it'll take the abuse.
Absolutely it does, yes.
If Nissan only added a dishwasher rinse cycle, you close the doors and you push the rinse cycle maybe on your fob, and it just cleans the inside. It just hook it up to your garden hose and we're good. Why not? I mean, that'd be an interesting feature that nobody else has,
The Nissan Park and Rinse app. You got it on your phone, you go bing, and you stand back.
I'm like 49% kidding, too. Yeah. So this truck does feel like you can just abuse the heck out of it. And we're on the lightest of light kind of off-road.
Yes.
But even when we're on this, it comes to life.
We're on it. Here's the thing: we're on a road that is not a rock crawling road at all, but it is very bumpy, and it's bumpy enough that the average person in the average car, this is one of those roads where you slow way down because it's just beating up on your suspension so much. This thing comes to life. I want to go even faster than I thought I should be because I just realized, oh wait, this is where this shines.
Right.
It just hammers over all this stuff. It doesn't care, and it does feel like it's going to be incredibly robust. But then I think about the fact that it's ancient tech that was built to just be a solid brick, and it remains like that. You can't buy this for any reason other than the fact that you love Frontiers.
Yeah.
And to your point, the only reason to buy this last one is because it's not going to get any more sorted than this, and it does have the new engine. Let's hope the new engine's reliable.
There's no more trim levels.
No.
There's nothing else Nissan can introduce. I mean, a couple little stitch lines in the door and saying, hey, it's the premium. No, nothing about it is premium.
Yeah.
So when you're on road and you're just driving around, you're going to be bored and it's uninteresting, and frankly,
it's a bad ride.
It's not good. It's not fun. It's not a fun place to be. But when we're out here, like I said, on the slightest hint of dirt, it comes to life because you can think, all right, well, we're just beating it up, and now it's just functional and useful, and dust doesn't even stick to these plastics. It just falls off.
Yes, you're right. It practically pre-rinses itself. That's a good point. Just everything. It's awesome. It does just thunder down this road and feels like nothing can bother it. I do agree with that for sure. I'm chasing a FJ Cruiser that we thought was going quickly until I got behind it, and now, I mean, we're just hunting him down here, and I'm not even trying to.
Recirculate. You know, the kind of switch gear that you have to hit twice because it didn't take the first time because it's like, not the greatest ever.
Yeah.
What Nissan has done to improve this over the years is, well, very little. They've changed the start-stop button. They changed
that's a new
the
feature.
tooling. And they just put a plastic cap over where the key used to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody said I can fix that for about 5 cents per truck, and they were good. Let's do that.
I don't understand, but we're past the point of good value for Nissan. For us, the customer, great. If this is what you want and you have a ranch and you have a ski house and nothing else can get in besides snow machines, buy this truck.
Buy a Frontier and just beat on it.
Yeah.
I do have to say, though, honestly, I think the back seat of this has more space than the Tacoma. The Tacoma was tight.
This looks tight just because of the size of the rear doors, but then you're right.
But the legroom has more space than the Tacoma. The Tacoma is genuinely tight. This has kind of a small bed, but it does come pre-coated with the heavy-duty coating, at least in the Pro-X version. I'm trying to find upsides. Look,
where's the features?
I used this like a truck. I took a bunch of stuff to my local dump, and then on the way home,
pickup truck things.
I got bored, and I just drove down a dirt road for a while. I don't know where it went. I just drove down it for a while because this thing can. Yeah. That is where it's at its best. On the highway, you're not going to like it. You're genuinely not. Unless, like my wife, you were just a truck person and things that feel like they have a bad ride and are trucky but have a high ride height, you're going to like that because that's what you're used to.
She lights up at that kind of thing.
She does. And I know we're going to always get comments from people that have always driven trucks.
Sure.
That drive a truck like this and they say, the ride is fine because you're used to what a truck ride feels like. We drive everything. Yes, we like sports cars, but we drive everything. And most people that buy a truck, I hate to say this, especially when they buy the heavy-duty version, they're buying the heavy-duty version because they prefer the styling, but they're not going to go any more off-road than they would have otherwise.
Yeah,
and now you wind up with a teeth-jarring ride on a road. It doesn't feel like it's confident. It kind of drifts and follows and that kind of stuff and bounces around. But once you get it off-road, then you go, well, this is what this is for, but that's not how most people drive them. It's just not.
That's true. You're right. The suspension tuning is the real key here because the Pro-4X has Bilsteins, which are awesome. We love Bilsteins. But it still needs to be tuned because it's still got leaf springs back here. And on some of these washboards, you put power to it, and once it gets undulating and loses traction, the back end just hops right around. You're not putting the power down to the road anymore. So it's all still about tuning once you do add the goodies to it. And it doesn't feel like that's the case here. Again, all I'm feeling and sensing out of this truck is the engine and this new 9-speed transmission. So this is the test bed for the next generation truck that's coming at us. And I hope it better be different and have the features. Same build quality is fine, but it better start to be a leader, if you know what I mean, because that's where Nissan has made a name. It needs to jump ahead of everybody else even further to really compete, because otherwise, to your point, you either just love the Nissan brand or you just love big trucks and they're off-road.
And I wonder, is somebody at Nissan going, well, we need to actually do more than 1 million miles worth of testing on that Nissan. How can we have that engine? How can we do that simply? You know what we should do? We should put it in the old Frontier so that when the new one comes around, we know the engine's solid.
That's a great idea.
It's just a rolling test bed.
That's software CEO thinking right there.
That is.
That's
everybody else
thinking.
can do it. Let's think like software people. By the way, while you're here, put the turn signals in from like 2000. Nobody's going to notice.
The tooling's done.
They're perfect. We got a whole bin of those in the background.
It must cost Nissan about $8.50 to build one of these.
Which is why you can get them for affordably cheap. But they feel it. I hate to say it.